There are some mistakes we carry quietly, things we wish we could undo, words we wish we could take back, choices we made when we were tired, proud, hurt, angry, afraid, or simply not thinking clearly. And sometimes, long after the moment has passed, shame keeps repeating the same message. This is who you are now. But the story Jesus tells in Luke 15 gives us a different picture. It is the story often called the parable of the prodigal son. A younger son comes to his father and asks for his share of the inheritance. In that culture, it was more than an impatient request. It was a rejection of relationship. He wanted what the father could give him, but he did not want to stay close to the father himself. So the father gives him what he asks for, and the son leaves. He travels to a far country. He spends what he has. He chases the kind of freedom that looks open at first, but slowly becomes empty. What seemed like life begins to take from him. What seemed like independence begins to isolate him. And eventually he loses everything. Jesus describes him in a place of hunger, need, and humiliation. The son who once had a home now feels far from everything familiar. The son who once had provision now longs for scraps. It is in that low place that he begins to remember. He remembers his father's house. He remembers that even the servants there have enough bread. And he begins preparing a speech. He does not imagine coming home as a son. He does not expect celebration. He does not assume restoration. He simply hopes there might be a small place for him somewhere near the house again. Maybe not at the table, maybe not in the family, maybe just as a servant. That is what shame often does. It lowers our expectations of grace. It convinces us that if we return to God, we must come back at a distance. We must earn our place slowly. We must live as though forgiveness is possible, but closeness is too much to hope for. But Jesus does not describe a father who waits coldly at the door. He describes a father who is watching. While the son is still a long way off, the father sees him before the son can clean himself up, before he can prove he has changed, before he can fully explain what happened, before he can finish his prepared speech. The father runs toward him. That detail matters. The father does not wait for the son to reach the house. He moves toward him first. He meets him on the road. He embraces him in the middle of his shame. The son begins his speech. He admits his sin. He knows he is not worthy. But the father does not let shame have the final word. He calls for restoration. He brings him home. He celebrates what has been found. The son came home hoping to be treated like a servant. The father welcomed him as a son. That is the heart of the story, and it is the heart of grace. The son had a real failure. Jesus does not pretend his choices were harmless. The leaving mattered. The wasting mattered. The pain mattered. Grace does not deny the truth, but grace tells a deeper truth. Your worst mistake is not your story. Your failure may be part of what happened, but it does not have to become your name. Your regret may be real, but it does not have to become your identity. Your distance may have been long, but it is not stronger than the Father's love. Many of us know what it feels like to live in the far country. Sometimes the far country is not a physical place. It is a place in the heart. It is where we feel distant from God. It is where prayer feels awkward. It is where we wonder if we have gone too far. It is where we assume God must be disappointed, reluctant, or tired of us. And so, we delay returning. We wait until we feel more worthy. We wait until we have better words. We wait until we can explain ourselves. We wait until we feel less ashamed. But the parable reminds us that the way home does not begin with perfection. It begins with turning, a quiet turning of the heart, a willingness to stop running, a simple honesty that says, "Father, I need to come home." There's also an older son in the story. He stayed close to the house, but his heart struggled to understand the father's mercy. He could not understand the celebration. He could not understand why grace would be given so freely. And maybe that part of the story gently reminds us that it is possible to be near the language of faith and still misunderstand the Father's heart. The Father is not careless with sin, but He is rich in mercy. He does not celebrate the rebellion. He celebrates the return. He does not ignore what was lost. He rejoices over what has been found. That distinction matters because shame tells us that God's love is reluctant. Grace shows us that His love is already moving toward us. Shame says, "Come back as a servant." Grace says, "You are still deeply loved." Shame says, "You are what you did." Grace says, "You are not beyond restoration." This week, perhaps the practice is simple. Take a few quiet minutes and name one place where shame has been speaking louder than grace. Not to condemn yourself, not to reopen an old wound for no reason, but to bring that place honestly before God. You might pray, "Father, help me stop defining myself by what you have already offered to forgive. Teach me to receive your mercy and help me return to your love." Then sit with the image Jesus gives us: the Father running, the Son being embraced, the speech interrupted by restoration, the long road home ending in mercy. You do not have to earn your way into the Father's compassion. You do not have to carry your shame like a permanent name. You do not have to remain in the far country because you are afraid of what will happen if you return. The Father's love is not fragile. His mercy is not small. His grace is not surprised by your need. Your worst mistake is not your story. The Father's love is the greater story. May you have courage to come home where you feel far away. May shame lose its voice in the presence of grace. May regret become a doorway to humility, healing, and wisdom. And may you remember this: the Father does not meet returning hearts with contempt. He meets them with mercy.